All right, so welcome to our main conclusion versus subsidiary conclusion drill. We're going to dive into some actual LSAT questions that we have to differentiate between the two, but just a quick reminder, a subsidiary conclusion is a conclusion that supports our main conclusion. So sometimes we'll have an argument that gives us a premise, not in any particular order, and then it gives us a conclusion, and both of these premises are supporting that conclusion. But we might have another premise, and in turn, both of these things support another conclusion, which is what our main conclusion is. But remember, it doesn't necessarily matter where in the argument which one is. It can still be like technically our main conclusion could be the first sentence of the argument. It might give us premise, subsidiary conclusion, which is in turn we're supporting this main conclusion. So remember, it doesn't matter the order necessarily, but we have to determine which one is supporting the other. And so a simple example is if I said, on Friday, we should go to the basketball game. We are definitely going to hang out on Friday. So I'm going to put hang out. Our options for Friday are to go to the basketball game, the football game, or the soccer game. Lydia does not want to go to the football game. Therefore, we should go to the basketball game or we should go to the soccer game. Jasmine does not want to go to the soccer game. So here we have an example where this here, when I say that we should go, therefore we should go to the basketball or soccer game, is our subsidiary conclusion. Because while it is a premise supporting our main conclusion that we should go to the basketball game, we get this from the support that we should not go to the football game. And so how we would test this is we can always use our because test. And remember, after because is when our premise, where we should have our premise. And so we want to try this both ways. So what happens if I said we should go to the basketball game because we should go to the basketball or soccer game? I don't love that one of how it sounds, but let's see how this one compares to our other one. We should go to the basketball or soccer game because we should go to the basketball game. Do you see how for these premises, this second one just doesn't work? And that's how we know that this first part, that we should go to the basketball game, is going to be our main conclusion. So for this exercise, I'm going to give you an argument and you need to read it and determine what is our main conclusion and what is our subsidiary conclusion. So argument 1, chemical fertilizers not only create potential health hazards, they also destroy earthworms, which are highly beneficial to soil. Okay, so we're saying that chemical fertilizers not only have these potential health hazards, they destroy earthworms, and earthworms are good for the soil. For this reason, so I'm already paying attention to this, and I'm like, so we're referring what for this reason alone, like we're referring back to this, but we're saying for this reason alone, the use of chemical fertilizers should be avoided. The castling earthworms leave behind are much richer than the soil they ingest. Thus, so remember, this is a conclusion indicator word, thus making a garden rich in earthworms without more fertile than a garden without them. All right, so we have our two conclusions here. Our conclusions are that the use of chemical fertilizers should be avoided, and the other is making a garden rich in earthworms much more fertile than a garden without them. So we want to check out this because test, right? And so I'll start with the first one. The use of chemical fertilizers should be avoided because making a garden rich in earthworms much more fertile than a garden without them. So that's going to make sense, especially if you brought in this first part. But if we tried it the other way, what if we said making a garden rich in earthworms much more fertile than a garden without them because the use of chemical fertilizers should be avoided? That just doesn't make sense. What this arguer is really trying to convince us of or persuade us of is like, hey, because the garden is richer with these earthworm castlings, we should not use these chemical fertilizers, or they should be avoided. So we use that to support that sentence. And so you're going to go on and go ahead and finish this assignment.